Hello, my name is Matthew Iovanni, and I'm a partner here at FullFunnel. We are a global revenue operations services company. And I'd like to give you a bit of an overview of what I call sales and marketing 101. I have sort of scoured the internet and I have not found any good sort of repositories of information aimed at people who are thinking about getting into a career in either sales or marketing. And I tried to create a comprehensive guide for people to sort of consider as they look at this area of the professional landscape as a potential career choice. So the first thing is just to sort of give you some credibility on like how we sort of fit into this. We are a global revenue operations services company. Our mission statement is to help organizations solve the capacity and capability gaps they have in their sales and marketing programs. And the reality is we are working with hundreds of companies in their sales and marketing programs, providing support services. We work with thousands of organizations ranging from some of the biggest brand names that you have today, all the way down to early stage startups and pretty much everything in between. And so this particular segment is really focused on the sales and marketing departmental structure, and it's part of our sales and marketing basics training material. So the first thing is we just got to identify like what is sales, and I think that is something that is an ever-changing sort of definition. But according to some of this sort of academic literature, sales is the process of meeting prospective buyers, understanding their needs, and offering tailored solutions that will drive revenue. It involves direct interaction with potential customers to convert interest into a purchase. I think when people think sales, they always think of direct interaction, and marketing is indirect interaction. I think that is a very large distinction between the two sort of functions. When you think of sales, there's a variety of different sort of stages or areas of a sales process that you'd want to be aware of. The first is prospecting. This means going out and trying to procure interest in your product or service. Then there's lead qualification, which is figuring out which leads have the potential to convert into customers. There is pitching and presenting, the discovery call, demonstration of product type of process. There's negotiating deal terms. There's the closing of deals. And then there's supporting people in a post-sales context. That is all part academically of the definition of sales. When you think of marketing, it's defined as a business function that identifies customer needs and desires, creates value through product development, and communicates that value to attract and engage target audiences. It encompasses both inbound, which is attracting customers to your brand, and outbound, which is reaching out to potential customers. Now, the key functions of marketing could be market research, brand management, product positioning, demand generation, and lead generation. They also list customer engagement as a potential area of marketing. Now, one of the things, if you're paying attention, should be very interesting here, is that they have sort of suggested that outbound is in fact part of a marketing motion. But yet in the sales sort of function, prospecting is part of a sales function. This should be one of the first things that you'd identify as like, wow, that's a little fuzzy from a definition sort of standpoint. And that's a good thing to point out because the reality as we get into 2024 and beyond, sales and marketing really doesn't exist anymore, right? We are sort of moving into the world of what is essentially revenue operations, which is what the modern sales and marketing program should be sort of looked at. But it's important to understand how we got here and understand sort of how your career pathway might fit into this. So there really is another area that should be double clicked on, which is demand generation. Now we'll talk about the demand gen, pipeline management, and customer success functions in some later training. But the active demand gen, which is getting the horse to water, is a function of doing paid advertising, outbound prospecting, leveraging organic search, and doing peer-to-peer channels, which is both a marketing function definitively here, as well as a sales function definitively here. So there's a lot of sort of contradiction within the traditional versions of a sales and marketing context. It's something you should be aware of going into this field. Now, if you want to think about the hierarchy of a sales group or a sales department, there's a couple things to sort of understand. The first is that the head of that function is usually going to either be a CRO or what is a VP of sales. The sort of distinction between the two, in some organizations, a CRO is pretty much the VP of sales. Other folks have actually or companies have given that CRO full ownership over the revenue cycle of that particular company. That would encompass both what traditionally is known as sales and marketing. There are also going to be directors of sales. Those are folks that usually are going to manage regions or specific sort of market segments or industries. There's going to be sales managers, which are really going to be team leads more than anything else. Then you're going to get into an account executive, which is usually someone who's engaged in pipeline management. They're doing sort of discovery calls and demonstrations of product. They're shepherding deals from disco call to close. Then you're going to get to sales development reps, which are usually entry-level positions aimed at getting folks into sales. They primarily are going to do one of two things, which is either managing inbound leads or conducting outbound prospecting through email, phone, and social in order to drive net new conversations with prospects that fit your ideal client profile. Lastly, there's going to be sales support, sales operations, which is really still a fledgling sort of area of a sales program that sort of people are still trying to define, which is usually going to be involving sort of data operations, technology stack management, and enablement. A couple things to know about where your career in sales might be going. Looking at sort of the source of sort of salary information, things like quota path, pay scale, HubSpot, so on and so forth, you can see that the base salary for a CRO is usually somewhere between $170,000 and $280,000 with a total comp range of about $220 to $400. VPs of sales anywhere from like 180 to 320. And then as an SDR, usually looking at somewhere between 60 and 85, depending on sort of the variable compensation construct. Now, obviously, these are pretty good sized numbers. Sales has always been and will continue to be an area that is highly lucrative for folks who are very effective and efficient at conducting activity in sales. As you look at a marketing hierarchy, you're going to see total compensations for things like CMOs between like 200 and 350, all the way down to sort of marketing coordinators and marketing assistants between 45 and 65. Now, the reality is in most organizations that I've ever intersected with, sales, which is the actual act of closing a deal, is usually going to be paid more than sort of the indirect group in marketing that's sort of not dealing with clients or customers directly. That sometimes is not the case, especially as you get into like B2C organizations. But for a lot of B2B companies, I have found that to be true as well. So if you're really looking for pure monetization opportunities, a career in sales is usually going to drive a little bit more revenue opportunity for you. However, there is a reality that marketing can be very lucrative as well. We've also put a link here, which will be available in the deck that's going to be linked at the bottom of this video. They're talking about the career pros and cons of marketing and sales, and then obviously linking the source data for this.